This week I talk things related to my birthday. It's my birthday today. Woo! So yeah, I'm gonna cover all things related to my birthday, as well as also other matters such as Beyonce trying to steal the thunder from my day, which she's absolutely right to do so. My favorite consoles update is coming soon. The sequel, PS5, will be here a little before you know it. Game of Thrones, Cuphead, and a bunch of other things. So stay tuned. This is another episode of Bombastic.
Dana J.
What's up, everybody? This is Imani Wilson, and welcome to another episode of the Bombastic Podcast. Please take this a moment to go ahead and click that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell on YouTube so that way you can get weekly, daily updates and notifications upon the next podcast and its offerings. So, now that business is out of the way, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode. If you don't know me by now, today is my motherfucking birthday. My birthday is April 17th. My birthday took place 20 some more years ago. 29 years ago to the day. That's right. So literally, I am 29 years old, and I got to tell you a couple of things. And I'll just go ahead and be brief since I'm talking about me, and I don't like talking about me that much. Really don't. I guess I could say my 20s were kind of like, they're just dope. They're just fucking dope. I feel like everybody has their own take upon, like, you know, like getting older. I don't see 30 like staring at me down the road like right now. Like pretty much, I feel like every year 30 like just keeps moving its chair closer in front of me. But I don't feel like it's this like scary thing or like now comes all of these set expectations and sudden responsibilities. I've been being an adult since I was like 19. So I've been at that for at least the last 10 years. And even before then, even at 16, I kind of had to make certain decisions about like what I was going to do for school and, you know, setting myself off on this road of life of getting into media and video and film and such. So I don't really see me almost being 30 is like something that I'm like worried about or fear or like, oh God, it's this like negative thing. I'm happy. I feel happy, you know, I'm healthy, you know, I have so many wonderful fucking friends and family. I know it's like, well, you gotta throw the fucking in there, you gotta make it salty, because I really love you guys. Like, seriously, this morning was emotional for me because I went to sleep late last night, breaking my rules of getting rest. Went to sleep at like 4, my phone was going off around 7. I'm talking all the people that were on the early morning grind. I'm grateful that I got hit up by so many people. Like I said, I got the calls, the text messages, the voicemails, you know, the Facebook hit ups. I got all of that good stuff, and it just fucking makes me feel real good, man. I mean, you know, like I said, I embrace this last year being 20 something. It's gonna be fucking dope. And then from there, fuck it, I'll just be that cool 30-year-old dude. It's just I won't be able to go to all the parties and not feel like, should I really be here with these little sweaty 20-somethings that just, you know, just all stink and just all horned up and shit? Like, you know, maybe I'm a chill. But then I remember I was one of those dudes once. So, you know, not saying it's going to be me in a room full of just a bunch of dudes, because then it's like, dude, why am I at a Beefeater exhibit? Like, why am I at a barbecue where it's all meat and no buns? If that was something that I was, you know, really considering, it's like, nah. But, you know, just thinking about it now, as far as my like plans for today, I mean, I pretty much did them. My thing was get up. You know, I had this whole meditative state that I was in earlier. You know, went for a bunch of walks. Just enjoyed the weather because the weather's fucking gorgeous. I've been fucking thankful as fuck, dude, to be able to have good weather on my birthday. Because I think for the rest of this week, it's just rain, and more rain. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll take this 60 some more degrees, sunny as fuck day. Alright, so that was fucking dope. So pretty much went out, got myself some lunch as well, went to GameStop, got myself a dope ass controller. I'll probably put it in the pictures like right there. The controller was fucking dope. I needed another one. Gonna be going out to eat later tonight, chilling with my, online tribe as well, thugging, a couple of events, but that'll be for the later topics on which we'll talk about. So I'm going light comparatively, knowing that at the end of this week, I'm gonna be in Texas, and I'm gonna be bugging the fuck out of this reggae festival. Texas, Austin, bugging out this weekend. You know the dates, you already know the time I'm on. That's all I gotta say about that. So let's go ahead and get into the first roundabout of topics, and that being media. So speaking of April 17th, Beyonce went ahead and pretty much tried to steal my birthday. Fuck it, I'm gonna call it for this. She stole my birthday. The amount of people that could give a fuck about my birthday comparatively to the amount of people that care about Beyonce dropping her Homecoming documentary on Netflix, pretty sure that ratio is pretty much not in my fucking favor, fam. But Beyonce did drop a documentary highlighting her 2018 Coachella performance and everything leading up to, speaking into her family life, speaking about her, pregnancy with the twins and things along those lines. So pretty much the Beehive is in full force. They were marking this day. As soon as I saw on the internet that there was Beyonce Homecoming, I was like, wait a minute, like, that's kind of weird. I'm like, fuck it. And it was like, first of all, Homecoming. I'm like, what does that mean? I thought it was going to be another short film like Lemonade. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, is she like going to try to do some super heroic shit? Like, because I know Spider-Man Homecoming was a thing. I was like, Beyonce Homecoming? What the fuck? And then I see like the Greek alphabets. I'm like, Homecoming. I'm like, wait, is this going to do something with like, I'm like, wait, is this going to be Beyonce's version of Stomp the Yard with like sororities and shit and frats and that whole shit? But I don't know. I mean, I haven't necessarily gotten into it. Like I said, it's not necessarily on my radar, but it did. The bleep definitely did come up because a lot of people are looking forward to this shit. And it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix now. It came out today. So a lot of folks are interested in looking into the whole Homecoming doc. And as I look at it now, yeah, it's talking about Coachella last year. And then just all the performances, that they call it Beachella, Baychella. I don't fucking know how they pronounce it. Either way, it's DJ Khaled being DJ Khaled, so it's a little bit much. But yeah, I mean, Beyonce is fucking fire. She's an icon. This generation's Diana Ross. For real. If you think about it, Diana Ross had the Supremes, Beyonce had Destiny's Child. And then she was like, yeah, I'm good. Gonna go ahead and now be a megastar now. Thank you. Gonna marry a successful, rapper who, has some family shit going on. But my sister let him know about how we felt about it. And then boom, we packaged it into a multi-album, fucking story. Like if you think about it, if you put her fucking Lemonade to his 444 to then Solange knows, Beyonce's sister, with a seat at the table, it reads like a story between how Jay felt about it, how B felt about it, and how Solange felt about it, being a part of this family and her sister going through it. So it was a whole fucking thing. Like I said, all that shit was fire. And this is going to be a fucked up transition. But speaking of fire, smell that? Yeah, that's Notre Dame after it was burning just the other day for causes due to some construction that was being done there. Now, that may be fucked up to go ahead and make such a joke about Notre Dame so soon, considering people are like, oh, that's real and sensitive. And people are like, oh, you don't understand. It's hundreds of years of culture and art and stuff that are lost. First of all, a lot of the relics and stuff they have in Notre Dame are mostly preserved in other museums that they were moving out due to the construction. So what you're seeing more so the building spires that found themselves being burned out. It didn't burn completely to a cinder, to the ground. And then of course all these other folks are like, oh, let's pour in donations. But people are like, wait a minute, it's a Catholic church. Why didn't the fucking Vatican, who got their own money, be able to pay that shit? And I'm all right there for them. It's like, fuck it, dude. Like, you guys got it. Pony that shit up. It's not getting out like you write it off as an expense. Say the shit costs $500 million. Y'all good for it. Just be like, all right, cool. When it comes to y'all taxes, if y'all even pay taxes in fucking Vatican City, just write that shit off as an expense. Fuck it. What are we doing? Why are we accepting donations? Because then the first thing I think to myself is, okay, but did anyone think about restoring the Sphinx when it got its fucking nose cut off? I know you're thinking, wait a minute, that's very pro-black of you and this, and this. But I'm just still saying that this shit happens. If you look through history, if you're a history buff, you notice these things happen with the fucking Library of Alexandria, the Colossus of Rhodes, the fucking Sphinx. These things happen. Sometimes they happen due to natural disaster. Sometimes they happen by accident. Sometimes, like in the cases of the Library of Alexandria and the Sphinx, this shit happens on purpose. So I don't think there was some fucking arsonist who was like, I'm gonna burn this bitch down. This shit just happened to happen. But like I said, you want to talk about donating to some cause? Puerto Rico could still use some fucking cause. That hurricane kind of fucked that island up. You know, that island is more so used now as a scapegoat for the rich and ultra wealthy in the U.S. to go and sort of scapegoat from any sort of like fucking federal income taxes. So I'm like, yeah, Puerto Rico could use some help. Or what about Flint, Michigan, and the fact that those folks still ain't got clean water? But we're worried about an old Gothic church. Again, priorities, people. You got to prioritize. And the thing I can't stand is when we as Americans are so quick to want to jump towards stuff happening in the world when we got things in our own backyard we have to take care of. We worry about conflicts overseas, but yet, you know, fucking Crenshaw, Compton, Chicago, those 3 C's, you know, they all have their own, you know, like their own internal conflicts. But we don't want to go ahead and get that deep. We want this podcast to say nice, friendly, and fun, which I'll go ahead and now segment to one of my, and it's relevant to one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that's gaming. So speaking of gaming and Notre Dame, Ubisoft is actually donating, like, speaking of it, 500 some more million towards the Notre Dame's reconstruction. Now because if you've ever played the Assassin's Creed series, which I love the Assassin's Creed series, you know, speaking of all things world history and stuff like that, the nerd in me loves it because it always covers certain periods. Now in this one game, Assassin's Creed Unity, it covered, like, I think that was like 17th century France. And it sort of showed, you know, the Notre Dame, you know, the cathedral itself. In fact, they had a whole rendering of the building that they did prior to developing it for the game. They're saying that development could go towards any reconstruction efforts. So it's not like this is some, like, lost thing. It can be fucking fixed. And look at it. Ubisoft is now coming in. They're putting up 500 million. Why the fuck are people talking about we need to, like, why, like, Americans talking about we need to pull it together? Because then people started taking this whole thing and using it to talk about their vacations in France. Now, I've never been, personally. But I'm just looking at it like, wow, this is so much a fucking thing. The shit people talk about. And then more so than anything, Ubisoft now is just off of feels, is going ahead and making the game Assassin's Creed Unity free. Now, why I'm not fucking with this because I heard it was a glitchy ass, fucked up ass game. I might get it just because, you know, it's another game to play, but who knows? I mean, if that's the sort of thing you're into right now, Ubisoft has that Assassin's Creed Unity is free for anyone who wants to go ahead and download it. Because like they said, they're donating 500,000 euros to go ahead and go towards the reconstruction to help repair, you know, the cathedral. But speaking of gaming, this week, of course, surprise, Nintendo Switch is getting the ever infamous indie modern classic Cuphead to its platform, and shout out to my tribe mate and my digital child, my boy Chill, for bringing this story up to me because he's a diehard hardcore Cuphead fan. Again, father loves you. And yeah, speaking about the Super Lush cartoon action game goes portable, and this is from IGN.com. They're ultimately just saying that ultimately it was revealed that it was coming to the Switch and that it was a fusion of like retro arcade action of like the 80s and 90s with a cartoon aesthetic of the 30s. So it's like a side-scrolling game that kind of looks like an old school like Mickey Mouse black and white cartoon. But again, I'm hearing that its controls and the gameplay elements are like really modern. So they're saying while Cuphead's gameplay features a host of side-scrolling run and gun levels, the game is primarily known for its boss gauntlets, a la retro titles like Contra, Hard Corps, and Alien Soldier. So as boss after boss, you'll not only have to shoot and dodge like a champ, but also take advantage of key abilities is inspired by classics from gaming history. So it's a nice modern throwback, if you will, and it's now coming out this week on Nintendo Switch. If I'm not mistaken, it should be coming out tomorrow, as a matter of fact, April 18th. So check that out. I think it was initially only for, I think it was for Xbox or Steam, one of the two initially, if not both, but now it's coming to the Switch. So Switch got more games, so be happy about it. Pretty good. So check that out. So I'm not talking just all things, PlayStation, even though that part's coming. But speaking of more so about gaming, now I got to talk about my favorites. I got to talk about one of my favorites. Overwatch Archive Storm Rising dropped this week, and that's for everybody, for PC, PS4, Xbox One. Sorry, not you Switch guys. And it's just speaking more so about the new mode named Storm Rising. That's again via GameSpot. It says the PvE mode sees Tracer, Genji, Winston, and Mercy travel to Cuba, or Cuba, depending on who you ask. And then it says the clock is ticking as they all travel to Cuba to head off a Stormfront and chase down the Omnic talent boss Maximilian and all new Overwatch Archives replayable missions. So they introduced a new map. There's several things they introduced. Number one, the skins were popping. Like, I'd say my favorite skin of all these of this event were definitely the definitely Soldier skin, or as they call him, Formal 76. He's got on his formal blues and shit, so it just shows him with his like medals jacket, the white powder gloves, the pants, like he's like all decked out like casual, like a soldier coming home. They also have the Bastion skin, which kind of makes him look very like Ultron-like. I thought that shit was dope. They got a dope Ash skin, and they've got a fucking highlight intro for Hammond, which is like the best highlight intro in the game. Let me emphasize the game. The best highlight intro in the game. Hammond has it. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's of an old school ass meme that when you see it, it's like, dude, what the fuck? But you know what? It's good because it opens the floodgates for Overwatch to diversify. But speaking of the event, like I said, it takes place in Cuba and Havana. And with it, you play as Tracer, Genji, Mercy, and Winston, and you're trying to chase down this talent boss who's pretty much the money man. And fuck it, here comes some spoilers. If you have not played the event, you can skip this part. I'm pretty sure there'll be a nice segment as I go from here to say once it's over. But here's where the spoilers begin. So, in this particular event, you find yourself going along, like you're trying to chase down this talent boss, assumably to try to go and get after one of the game's arch nemesis enemies, Doomfist. And even he comes up in a cinematic later and speaks to his part. But there's several reveals here besides just the map, which I think the map of Havana is dope. It's got that same sort of like look, the vibrant colors of what would look like South Beach, Miami, which everybody knows is inspired by Cuba. And, the old school cars that you would see on the island, some like beach fronts, which is another part of the map where you see them like by the water. And there's like a whole almost like by the water fort that's there that you have to go storm. It's pretty dope. But what I found was interesting was that whenever they do this shit and they name drop characters related to the story, that's a character going to be featured in the game. Now, they mentioned someone that was headlining this mission, someone known as Sojourn. Now, Sojourn herself was like some brown-skinned woman with like white-like hair, and she seems to be one of the heads or former heads of Overwatch. Now, me knowing this game, the fact that it's been out for almost 3 years now, whenever they name drop somebody or they're featured, there's a great chance they're going to be featured as a character somewhere down the line. It's not likely that they just name drop a character and then that character's not going to be featured. Very, very seldom does that happen. Very fucking seldom. So the fact that Sojourn has a face, a voice, and already played a key part to the story, you already know Sojourn's probably going to be featured in it. Now, another part that happens, because I don't want to give away fully the whole parts of the campaign of Storm Rising, I will say when you do get to this one warehouse part of the level, after you beat some initial bad guys on the street leading to get to the guy, it's almost like they trap you in a warehouse. You're in that fucking warehouse for way too long. Way too long. It's like you're in there for at least a good 10 minutes worth of like bosses just spawning from random areas, dropping from the ceiling and shit like that. It's still the same guys from the last Archives update. So you got the regular grunts, the enforcers with the shotguns, the big heavy tank motherfuckers, and then the assassins who they zip around and then they jump on you to try to kill you. And then of course the snipers. So in essence, I'd say I can say I like the event. I like what it added to the story. And then in closing, what it also did was show that once you do see Doomfist, which he's in his dope ass like white sort of like pimp coat with the glasses, which was like relative to the comic, and it's a playable skin. He's speaking to someone from Talon who apparently is a omnic, like shadowy like figure that we've never seen before. He's some omnic character that's got like long hair, wears a, like, you know, shrouded in a hood and all that sort of stuff. So you almost know between Sojourn and whoever fucking creepy dude is right there, you kind of already know that those are one or two of the next upcoming characters for the game. So I like how they added some lore. I'm just hoping when the anniversary event comes, because this event is running from the 16th to May, April 16th to May 6th. I'm hoping that once they go into the anniversary, they kind of unfold maybe the sort of the closing, the kind of like minding the gap now of going from Overwatch to possibly a sequel. I think it's definitely time for a sequel. The game's been out for 3 years. I think for a first-person shooter, especially of its nature, that's been a hell of a run. I mean, the seasonal events are cool, but let's just face it, it gets a little stale. The competitive mode gets a little stale because you earn these competitive points to get rankings, to get a badge that shows where your current ranking and skill level is, and then you redeem these other points to get a golden weapon for a character you're choosing. Once you get your favorite character's golden weapons, now you're just collecting shit to say you're collecting shit. There's got to be more to it. Just like I think there need to be more modes for competitive, because right now you only have King of the Hill and capture and the payload maps where you're trying to escort a payload through a map while, you know, the opposing team that you play against, other online players, are trying to keep you from delivering it to your necessary destinations. So I just think overall it was a pretty cool event for Overwatch. Like I said, I've already kind of bossed it in like a day. So for it to be going on for like the next couple of weeks is like, that's just for the perfectionists like myself who just want certain shit. I'm like another day or two away from getting what I need, and then pretty good. Which is probably why I see some people are voicing their frustration about the event. But look, motherfuckers, you can't get everything you want, okay? It's a lot of this shit is for free. So you can't complain about free. I'm sorry. You really just can't. So no complaining about free shit out there. Like, just stop. But one thing I will say, another thing, speaking about PlayStation as well, I got to mention about this whole PS5 specs and speculation, because this is huge, and this is something that I think I spoke about in earlier episodes about my thoughts as far as for what Sony is looking to put together for the new PS5. Number one, these were my predictions, and I'm not even going to go off my tablet here. My predictions were, and you can quote me on this now, from this episode on April 17th, 2019, for whenever this game releases, the following. The next PS5 is going to come out with two different models upon launch. I think they're going to possibly have the sort of consumer and prosumer models. The consumer model is probably going to start at about $399. It's going to have a lot of the initial features that you would be looking in an updated system, such as updated specs, hardware, blah, 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 same sort of access and shit. And then it's going to have a prosumer version, prosumer line that's going to be out for $499. Now, a lot of people speculate that the new PS5 is going to come out at $499. I think that's a little steep for your average gamer. I think because even though this particular iteration of PlayStation and PS4 has had a longer life cycle, I mean, maybe not as long as the PS2 or the PS3, but still has had a relatively long life cycle, but still kind of short. And I think in a lot of ways, even its like hardware wasn't fully realized towards the very tail end. But I think with this PS5, like the best is like, it's here. It's coming. So I don't think this is something that, you know, that is gonna, I pretty much put it this way. The PS5 is gonna be something that when you get it, because my next prediction is that it's gonna release in 2020. It's probably gonna release either summer or the holiday season 2020, and that's just because they're gonna try to get it for that like Christmas season, that sort of end of the year. That's also gonna allow them to also be able to have an E3 about it, which is why I say it's probably going to more so drop towards the fall, maybe towards the holiday season, because they're going to want to do an E3 event come next year, since they're not doing one this year. At least another PlayStation event, sort of hyping it up in their titles that are coming out, and then ultimately dropping it. Like I said, 2 models, one for 400 with a bunch of base specs, one for 500, probably more storage. Because then another thing, and this is where I'm going to now refer to my notes, is that they were referring to these models having 8K graphics, the SSD drives, which is pretty much their like onboard storage systems, and then of course being able to have backwards compatibility with PS4 because obviously they fucking need it. And honestly, these PS5s ultimately in my mind are going to be next to being a gaming computer. And I think the emulation should go not only for PS5 to PS4, I say it should go as far back to maybe even fucking PS2 or at least PS3. Because it's only fair, because like I said, this is going to be the system of systems. These next-gen consoles are going to be the system of systems that I think are going to be able to rock up until at least 2025, at least 2026. And by then, considering where resolution is now, it's like I can't even imagine what the fuck people are going to be working with then. So the only thing we can do right now is be here in the moment and say that 2020 and beyond is definitely when you're going to see PS5 drop. Now, as far as what they were mentioning, as far as the specs, they were saying that they're putting emphasis on 3D audio for the PS5, which I didn't know audio is 3D. I'm learning some shit along with you here. A new AMD chip that apparently includes a custom unit for that. And it says Sony hopes will lead to more immersive gaming on both TV speakers and headphones. It says it'll support 8K graphics, assuming you have an 8K TV. Now, a lot of people are like, dude, 4K has just recently been a thing. I can tell you as a video professional, as far as resolutions are concerned, currently available, there's 64K. So we're talking about on, again, the consumer versus prosumer level. Like 16K and all that shit is kind of what you see in those big ass arena screens with that like giant resolution. Did you think that's like a 1080p screen? No, bitch. That's a giant ass screen that you're seeing there. So I know resolution to go as high to like 16K and maybe even like 64. But at some point the colors get so like your eye can only discern so much of a difference between those resolution rates that it almost doesn't fucking matter. Which is why I was saying that the PS4 really tapped into its 4K capabilities like late in the game, like within these last like 2 years that it really started to tap into like 4K gaming and 60 frames per second gaming with like the PlayStation Pro and all that. Which is why I'm saying I believe that the PS5's got to have 2 iterations. It's got to have your base for folks that are like, hey, look, I hear you with the resolution shit, but dude, I'm just playing Minecraft. I'm not playing Minecraft with like any sort of hacks or anything like it, so I just need simple resolution and just intuitive gameplay and an online experience with my homies. That's it. You can keep all these 60 plus frames to your damn self. I don't need a fucking Michael Bay movie every time I pick up a joystick. And that's fair. But as far as 8K TVs or what have you, I think they're probably going to start rolling out more so on a prosumer level this year. Like, I understand I'm just like, the fucking Swami here, but I honestly think that they're going to probably start rolling out this year and then going into next year for other offerings, like you said, with the Xbox, with the PS5, and where that leaves the Nintendo Switch, oh well, you motherfuckers still got Mario, Yoshi, and shit, so, you can make it work. It also says other details that Sony revealed the PS5 include that it'll be backwards compatible, because duh. It says unlike the PS3 to PS4 transition. And saying that there will still be physical copies of games to buy, not just downloads. And the thing is, I think that's an ingenious thing to do, which is why I think when Xbox just released its most recent iteration of the Xbox One S, where it's all digital with no disc drop, I think that's a mistake, because I know not everybody, at least speaking of the continental U.S., has access to broadband internet. Like, my internet connection is gigabit through Fios, so that's like currently the best currently on the market you can get as far as on a prosumer level without getting like a LAN connection and shit and having your own server lines. But I know people that a 20 gigabyte update to a game is going to take them 2 days. So let alone, say for instance, Elder Scrolls decides to release a new Skyrim. Or no, a sequel to Skyrim, I should say. If they release a sequel to Skyrim, you know that game's file is going to be at least 70 or more gigabytes. It's going to be a fucking behemoth of the game. That's going to be a bunch of information to download. Now, someone like some of my people I know, they want to get that game. It's going to take them like 3 days or 2 days to complete the fucking download. So my biggest thing is, I just don't see them going to a diskless setup. I just don't. I don't, like I said, I see that maybe being the future once you get to 2025, once more like high-speed wireless connections, 5G, and all the fucking conspiracies around that. Once all of that takes shape. But right now in this moment, I kind of still see solid disc being a thing. As far as where GameStop falls with all of this, that's a whole nother conversation. I know a lot of people feel some sort of way about GameStop. I don't, but I'm simply talking about the PlayStation. And as far as being able to purchase disc and not simply get everything digital through, PSN or Xbox Live or what have you. It's saying that Sony wouldn't discuss future plans with PSVR, which is the VR shit. They're saying like a next-gen headset to go along with the new console. They said they confirmed that the existing PSVR headset will continue to work with the PS5, because it should. Because like I said, it came out more than like the last like 2 years. So for them to not sort of pick up where they left off from the PS4 to start with the 5, it just makes sense. And then they said, yeah, of course, with them sitting out E3, there's still no release date for it, but saying that it won't be out this year, but that developers already have access to dev kits to develop games for it, which it makes sense for a rumored 2020 launch. I mean, I honestly think it just will. I mean, some of the rumors claim that The Last of Us 2, sequel to GTA 5 being GTA 6, and a couple other titles will be available at launch. That makes a lot of sense to me. But see, that makes sense to me in terms of there being like a big E3 for next year. Now, Rockstar typically are the ones to sort of let you know in advance when they're making such a release. I think, again, they're kind of hanging back and chilling as well to sort of think about the next gen. Because I've said for the longest, this fucking latest iteration of Grand Theft Auto 5 has been out for like 5 years. Which is why I think when a game runs that long, you got to start thinking about the future. So for Overwatch to only be 2 years younger than a GTA 5, and GTA 5 has tons of offerings, I'm like, because you see I'm bringing this all full circle. It's time for a sequel. Like, as you see, it's time for new consoles. It's time for new consoles. And it's time for Overwatch sequel. So it's time to just move the fuck forward. So on that note, I feel good being able to go ahead and call this a fucking podcast. I feel excellent. I was able to get my nerdy shit off. I was able to update you guys upon current news and happenings that matter to me, that hopefully matter to you, and be able to go ahead and give you a little piece of me on a special day that means a lot to me. So once again, I am your host, Imani Wilson, and this has been another episode of the Bombastic Podcast. If you absolutely like and want to know more as far as what's coming up soon or other madness that I've created before with the 14 episodes prior to this, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to this podcast by hitting that subscribe button, and also click that notification bell to be updated on any updates with future episodes. So once again, I'm your host, Imani Wilson. It is my motherfucking birthday. I'm going to bug out. I'm going to wild out. And we're going to get weird. We're going to get wild. And it's been another episode. Peace.